What's up, guys? I'm Pi with srlounge.com, and today we have Gavin Holt in the studio today.
Hey, everyone.
Now, today we're going to be talking about kind of more the business side of photography. So if you guys haven't heard of Gavin, Gavin's actually a big name kind of over here in the Orange County area because he is the original king of SEO marketing. Now, you guys might have heard of other names in SEO, but Gavin was the first one when everybody was looking how to SEO. We all look back, this was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and we're like, who's top on Google? And Gavin's name appeared like everywhere.
I was doing it before it was trendy, so.
Before it was trendy. Before everybody knew what SEO was, he was doing it. So let's go back prior to that. And what were you doing before you decided to go into the photography?
Well, actually, I was a computer programmer before this, and there are actually a lot of computer guys that end up going into photography, cameras, gear. Goes in. But I wasn't happy doing my job. I hated it. I hated being stuck in a cubicle. I hated dealing with, I don't know that many happy computer programmers, let's put it that way. So I started branching out, and I videotaped a cousin's wedding. By the way, I did videography as a side job in college, mostly club work and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And from there, I videotaped my cousin's wedding, built a product around it, actually built DVD cases and everything.
This was back when videotape was on tapes, right? Video was on tapes?
Yeah.
Was this?
This was back in 2004. So,
2004, okay.
Yeah, so I still feel like I'm still a baby. I still have a long way to go, but it started in 2004. From there, built a product around it. I'm like, man, I've got this great video. It shows lots of moments. It's well edited to music. I've got to be able to knock out the market. I put it at $1,500. I'm like, it's got to sell.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I did 3 weddings my first year, and that sucked.
That's kind of rough. Was that when you were still in college when you were doing that? Or
no, this was after college. This is when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
Okay.
I had some other stints with other career possibilities, and this was one of them.
Uh-huh.
From there, I went and got a day job because money was running out, and the business wasn't working. That day job happened to be as a search engine optimizer at an SEO firm. In fact,
that's how it started.
It was actually the #1 SEO firm in the world if you go by the search engine rankings in Google. It actually ranked higher for search engine optimization than Wikipedia.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I started working there. I quickly became one of their better optimizers. I just knew how to handle the clients. I was handling a lot of their high-end clients, in fact, and then I applied it to my own business.
Yeah.
And wham, I was like, wow, this is working. And I learned a really important lesson back then. It's I highly underestimated marketing.
Uh-huh.
I thought, like if you've got a good product, it'll sell itself. And it does. It just takes forever doing it.
Yeah.
It took a while for the word to spread out. And of course, back then, Facebook wasn't around. People weren't sharing videos online. So it was really hard to get the word out there that I was creating a quality product.
Yeah.
So you have to use other forms of marketing to bypass that.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting because there's when we talk about the business of photography, it's kind of funny because photography and then the business of photography or being a professional photographer are two completely different things. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, okay, when people want to get in the industry, you kind of wonder, well, do you like taking pictures? Do you just enjoy taking pictures? Or do you enjoy the business of taking pictures? Because those are not related. The business of taking pictures involves 20% taking pictures and 80% other. And you're doing, from marketing, from everything. You could take the best pictures in the world, and you take some amazing pictures.
Thank you.
But you could take the best pictures in the world and without marketing. And SEO is just a small caveat, small piece of that.
Yes.
You're not going to get anywhere with that.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of times people get in the industry, they love to take photos. Maybe they take photos of their family, their friends. They're good at it, and they enjoy doing it. They get in the industry and they realize, well, I'm taking great pictures, but nobody's kind of paying attention. It's difficult. Once they see the business side of it, they say, okay, this is not what I had in mind. I thought, it was going to be not necessarily it was going to be easier, but they think a lot of people will think that it's not as much administrative work as it is. Like you spend so much time behind your computer just dealing with clients and emails and everything like that. So let's chat about that whole process. So you decided at this day job, when was the point where you said, I'm going to quit my day job now and go gung-ho at this photography thing?
Actually, I still remember that. I walked in my boss's office and I said, I'm not going to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I switched from a 40-hour work week or 40-hour plus to a 24-hour work week. And there was really nothing they could do about it. I had made up my mind. I was already getting supplemental income on the weekends. And I actually needed the time to start editing videos because I would do 10 hours of shooting a wedding and I'd spend 35 to 40 hours on each edit. So it was shoot one wedding, edit for a whole week.
So when you first started, you were doing more video or more stills?
I was doing only video. I didn't
okay.
pick up a photo camera until 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this was back in 04 when you started?
Yes. Yeah. So I was shooting off a Canon XL1S and a GL2 for you guys to remember those. And then a Sony HDR FX1, the first HD camera from Sony. So I was, but the thing is, I shot video like a photographer.
Uh-huh.
And that's something that really helped me transcend over into photography versus kind of, I mean, there's that stigma with videographers where they're just, you know, and they just sit there just like their tripod. And I never was like that. I was moving all over the place. So.
Yeah, kind of getting more artistic product with the video. I think that's what, what DSLR videography or cinematography now has become so popular because of that. Because of the moving around, getting the more cinematic feel as opposed to the traditional tripod it, shoot 3 angles and just cut from angle to angle and that kind of look.
Now, one pro tip though is if you are doing video, especially DSLRs, there's no stabilization. And I've seen so much shaky footage or, like Blair Witch Project stuff.
Yeah.
I was actually in the UCLA shooting club back in the day. And we'd shoot pellet guns on campus because you can't have real guns. But, if you can nail a target at 10 meters and get it within the 10 ring, you can hold a camera steady. And
so you're saying you have to be able to shoot a gun to hold a camera steady?
All I'm saying is if you go out to a shooting range and you can learn the mechanics of holding a gun steady, those same mechanics apply to photography and videography, especially video because you'll see every movement. But for photography, of course, when you're shooting at slow shutter speeds, I've been known to shoot pictures of like a wide shot of a reception hall at 1/4 of a second handheld.
Mm-hmm.
So, and 1/4 is...
that is pretty dang slow.
Yeah.
All right, so practice your gun handling skills.
Yes. Just 3 gun safety rules, by the way, just so you know. Okay, but go ahead.
Anyway, okay, so you basically transitioned from a 5-day work week to a 3-day work week while you were kind of doing this video thing on the side. And then what was the point when you said, did you wait basically until your business income on the side fully replace your day job?
I dove in a little earlier than I probably should have. But then again, I had no wife, no kids, no mortgage, just rent. And I'm like, screw this. I want to do what I love doing. I don't want to deal with my old work. By the way, one of my bosses almost picked a fight with me on the day I put in my 2 weeks. So I'm glad I got out of that workplace. But yeah, it's something where I just knew, financially it worked. More importantly, in here it worked. I had a passion for it, and I knew I could make it survive.
Yeah.
And it's nice having that where you have this passion for a job that you love doing, but if you can't financially support yourself, obviously you got to eat. But when you have that means, it's exciting because it's like, wow, even though I might be scraping it, which I did, I was still eating, I was still surviving, and I was still doing the job I loved.
Yeah. Okay, so you left the office, you're now doing your job full time, and this is a perfect time to kind of insert this question here. Kelly Elaine Garthwaite, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, by the way. She asks, what are some of the most successful marketing strategies to use during your first year of business? I mean, you just left. What are you doing that first year to make sure people are coming in the door?
The first year's tough. I mean, you know how they all say a business will, 95% of businesses will fail in the first year. We have it a little easier because we don't have overhead. I had no rent from a studio location I was working out of my home. Equipment's pretty cheap to buy into I'm not taking out a $100,000 loan.
Yeah.
But that first year is still tough. You're establishing a product, you're establishing a brand, and you're figuring out what you're capable of. So the SEO started me off. By the way, I hand-coded my website. You've probably seen my ugly website, and it stayed that way forever. That's because you don't fix something that's broken.
That's the funny thing, dude, is that, okay, so I'm going to be honest. The original Gavin Holt photography website was not pretty, okay? It was not a pretty website.
Ugly.
But you were booking crazy amounts of weddings. And you hear people constantly you need to work on your branding and you need to work on, and these are important things, don't get me wrong. Branding and marketing and make sure your website is pretty and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you get your product in front of a lot of people and you have a good product, people are going to buy it, right? I mean, that's essentially what you did. You had a very average website, a great product, and people were buying it. You were just getting in front of people.
Well, one thing to also consider is that the sales process has multiple steps.
Yeah.
When they're first a lead, I mean, gosh, I was getting tens of thousands of hits. And from there, it filtered through and I'd get those few brides that were really interested. And when I'd show them a full wedding, I'd show them the actual product. I'd bring a whole box full of photos and they would see, okay, you know, he's legit. Even though on the surface it might not look that way. You can polish off your website and then you'll have higher quality leads coming in. But I chose to spend my time on just kind of that shotgun approach, blasting everyone. And then the ones that come in, it's like, okay, cool, it works. Of course, if I could have make it optimal at every single stage, I would have had so much business I wouldn't have known what to do with it. But I'm only one guy, so
it's a great, because you kind of hear these other ways and you think that there's only one way to do something. You think that everything has to be perfect. But then you hear that, you know, there's so many different approaches. And I love the fact, because I'm kind of one of those that every 3 to 6 months I get sick of my website and I want to do a full redesign. And Justin and Chris are always like, no, dude, it's doing okay. You don't fix what isn't broken type thing.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to remind yourself of that. Like, look, what is our primary product? Our primary product is our images. It's our images. It's the service that we're delivering.
Yes.
And if you can get them to come in the door, whether your website is beautiful or whether it's average, whatever it is, if you can get them to come in the door, then you've done 90% of the job. And then you just convince them to book, you show them your good work, and that doesn't even matter anymore. The website is the least thing that they're thinking about at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like a first date. It's yours to lose, you know? You're already there. She's there in the first place. You're golden.
So, and I remember you also mentioned, we've been friends for a little while, and you mentioned a little while back that you actually hit #1 in the world on Google for just wedding photography in general. Like, that would be insane. Like, essentially, if you're in New York or if you're in Budapest and you type into Google wedding photography, Gavin Holt's website comes up.
Actually, aside from the United States, my second largest source of traffic comes from Pakistan.
From Pakistan?
Pakistan. I don't know why, but I just get a lot of traffic from there. So what's actually really funny is going back to what you said about when did I know I could quit my job, is actually based off of my search engine rankings, because I was aiming for wedding videography. And I think on MSN, back then MSN, this was before Bing, it became Bing, then Live, then before that MSN, I hit #1 within 3 days. So it was the easy search engine to nail.
Yeah.
Google's impossible. But I hit #1 for wedding videography within about 3 months.
On Google?
Of doing my work, yeah, on
That's
Google.
Crazy.
So when I hit that, I knew that, okay, I can look at quitting my job because this business is going to succeed. But realize, you know, that's just one part of a business. It's not a cure-all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we have the SEO king here, let's talk a little bit about it. I don't want. I mean, SEO is a huge field, and like there's, we can spend 24 hours here talking about it. But let's narrow it down to like 3 tips that you can give people on how that they can work on their own website's SEO. What are the 3 things you'd say to focus on? Because I know this.
Yeah.
I know SEO is not a quick thing. Like, what you do with SEO needs to be over a course of 3, 6 months, 12 months to have results. And anybody trying to tell you guys otherwise, they're just trying to fool you. Don't believe the people that call you on the phone and are like, oh, and for just $60 a month, we'll get you #1. It's not real.
Scam artists. Yeah, it's bad.
So what are a few tips that you can give everybody just on SEO, like that they can do on their own to kind of improve their rankings?
I'm going to narrow it down to 2.
2. All right. 2's even better.
2. Okay. So 1 and 2. 1, good content. You have to have good content. You have to have content that people are reading, that they enjoy, that they're spending time on, and that content will last years.
And by content, do you mean specifically written content or photographs or?
I mean, now you're talking about Google search algorithms and how they query stuff. Images will sell your brides. Content will sell the search engines. So text specifically will sell the search engines. However, if they're coming to see a photography website and they see only text, they're not sold. They're going to leave, and Google's going to see that, and they're going to say, okay, they didn't find what they were looking for. Let's knock them down in the rankings. So #1, content.
Okay.
#2, links. And it sounds so simple, okay? Content, links. It's the recipe for a successful website in the long term. Everything else is a gimmick. Everything else is short term. If you have good content and good links, you'll last through the years. I hand-coded my website. I built that baby from scratch. I'm talking like div layers and everything, like all hand-coded. If you look in the code, it's ugly. But I coded that in like 2006, 2007. and I haven't touched it since. It's just something I dumped months of work into, and then I let it run. And because it was built correctly, it's lasted through all these years.
Yeah.
And I'm not number one anymore, but it's still running and it's still doing a great job. People still find me.
Well, when you say links, just so people understand better, links, you're talking about backlinks, right? Links from other websites to your website.
Yes. And now quality links. Everyone, if you're getting into SEO, you have to know about PageRank. You have to understand how PageRank works because, get a PageRank checker, thing on your, on Chrome or Firefox. You have to have something that gives you an idea. I would have people coming up to me asking, hey, can I buy a link off your website for $60 or $80 or $100 a month? So I could be, $100 a month just for putting a link on my website. I would tell them no, though, actually, because it wasn't a good link. I didn't want my website being attributed with linking to bad people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I could get penalized for that. But going back, you can actually pay for links. That's how much they're worth. Look for quality links. Look for page ranks. I remember when my page hit it was a PR6 back in the day. That's
crazy.
That's nuts.
So PageRank, just to give you guys an explanation, PageRank goes from 0 all the way up to 10.
Yep.
Basically, the only 10 out there is Google, right? What else is a 10? Facebook's a 9, I think.
So Yahoo used to be a 10, but I think Google knocked it down to a 9.
So, it's Google's algorithm, so obviously they're the only 10. So, but anywhere above, like if you have a photography studio, if you have a PageRank of 3 or 4, that is very healthy. So 6 is like really high. 6 is really good.
To give you a comparison, Canon's website is a PR7.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm like, whoa. that was a little eerie because actually it means I have a lot of power and I can do a lot with that power and spread it out. But,
and essentially the PageRank is also just telling you it's kind of Google's way of saying the importance of this page, right? In their mind, kind of the overall importance of this page is at this. So when you're going and getting backlinks, I only explain because I know we have a lot of beginners out there when it comes to SEO, and I want you guys to understand when it comes to backlinks, what Gavin is saying is that if you get a PR3 to link to you, it's better than a PR1 that links to you. So if you get a higher ranked page, it's better. If you get a PR5 photography website to link to you, it's probably better than a PR6 automotive website that links to you, right? Because there's content, it's related content, the quality of the link, basically.
Well, let me explain it even simpler. Think of it like voting. Like imagine you've got a room full of people, okay? And someone asks the question, hey, who's the best photographer in here? 5 people point at me, 10 people point at you.
This isn't a realistic example, I can already
No, SLR Lounge ranks high, man. So now he's got 10 votes. So already you're supposed to show up higher in the search engine rankings. Now his page is a higher page rank, but if all of a sudden you decide to point to me and you're like, oh, actually, I'm not the best photographer, Gavin over there is. All of a sudden I basically get all of those 10 votes, and now I've got like 15 votes instead of just 5 + 1. So your vote has that much more weight going behind it. So
that's a good way of looking at it.
Think of it that way. I helped out a friend one time where I like to help out my friends with SEO as if they're good people. We'll get on to a whole nother subject on that one. But and it was, it was a brand new website. I linked to it and I helped them out. And I was surprised. Like 3 weeks later, they had a PR update and he popped up to a PR3 right away.
Yeah.
And so if you have a powerful site, you can get that. Now, if you also have powerful friends, they can help you out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's another thing too, is that networking can be a big help. Like, all the standard marketing techniques apply to web marketing. I mean, go out and build a network. You go, one of the best ways to get links to your site is go write for other people. For SR Lounge, we give our writers links back to their website.
Yes.
Those are big links from a photography-related website. So writing for other people, doing these kind of things, you can get your own backlinks, but it is time-consuming. That's what we're saying, right?
Well, what's funny is actually I get most of my links from personal relationships. I know that sounds kind of weird, but you can get links outside of the internet world, and then it translates into the internet world. Yeah. So figure that way, like you can work what you have at home.
Yeah, networking
what you have
in real
your
life
network. Yeah,
you
like don't forget what friendships you have and whatnot.
Don't just sit behind the computer, guys.
Yes.
Okay, so on SEO, basically we have on one side great content, good backlinks.
Yes. Equals
a good SEO strategy, and there's a lot more to that, but that's actually a great start. I know a lot of tutorial-based websites, SR Lounge included, and other ones that start their entire website off of a few great articles.
Yes.
They just write, one of our biggest articles to this day is still our RAW versus JPEG. We did a RAW versus JPEG, the ultimate visual guide, where we just broke down, okay, this is the differences. These are the situations where you want to use it. And to this day, that's one of our most popular articles. And we still get probably, 30,000 hits a month just on that one article.
Yep.
So great content is such a huge part, and it's unfortunately a part that gets overlooked a lot.
Yes.
People kind of think of, okay, how do I just get people to my site? Well, there needs to be a reason to get people to your site and everything. And for a photography blog, you guys can do that in several different ways. I mean, we know there's a lot of prominent photography bloggers out there. They just create well-written content that's fun and interesting to read, include good pictures with it. And eventually over time, I mean, you can always get into strategies and say like, oh, well, you need to have keywording strategies and place these words into that. And that kind of comes down the road. But those two basics, good content and some backlinks, they'll get you a long way.
A good example is, I don't know if you guys know about me, but I'm married happily. And my wife is also a photographer. Actually, we started the business together. Her name is Judy. So if you go to judyandgavin.com, that's our husband-wife website. My website's Gavin Photography. It's old and ugly. Her website's judytran.com. We kept her old name, and from there, that's our blog. And Judy's amazing at blogging. And anyone out there who's seen my blog, they'll know that the last blog article I wrote was like in 2010, and it says literally, I suck at blogging, and it apologizes for never putting anything up. And
the final article that says, I suck at blogging.
Yeah, it is so bad. I would actually have clients call me and say, hey, you're still in business, right? I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Of course I'm shooting your wedding. And because they were worried because they weren't seeing any blog articles going up. But that's one thing I'm not good at. I do not write blog articles. My wife is amazing at it. She talks about the couple. She talks about the wedding day. She talks about just personal aspects of their day. And people get wrapped up into that. They love it. And from there, that increases the reading viewership time per article. And it also develops a loyalty to our brand and to our images and, of course, to the way we take care of our customers.
Yeah.
So there are so many ways that you benefit from it. It's not just SEO. It's in a lot of other ways.
It's so funny that like you mentioned like, I mean, you talk about kind of all the things that you're not doing. Like, I'm not that good at blogging. I'm not that good at this. and if this were someone else out there, you'd be like, oh, that's a huge no-no. Oh, this is a big no-no. If you're taking like a photography marketing class, they'd be like, oh, well, I can't believe you're not doing that. You're going to fail. But dude, you shoot a ton of weddings, which means that, I mean, you're doing very well, which means that these things are a part of an overall marketing plan and not the core components of it.
Well, back before when I told you guys about a business plan, I had mentioned a SWOT analysis. SWOT, S-W-O-T, is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Some people move it on to the 5-point plan or something. I like to keep it simple. And it goes back to that strengths and weaknesses. You have to recognize internally what's good and bad about you. I love photography. I love videography. It comes naturally to me. I like talking to people. I'm good with people. I can break open a bridal party pretty easily, you know. But I'm lazy, which goes back to the blog articles and post-production. I have other weaknesses, and you have to acknowledge it. You have to be honest with yourself, and from there, you build your business around that. Now, if your weaknesses are bad enough, you might just say, hey, this business is not worth even starting. Go do another career. Do something that suits you. But going back, I acknowledged my weaknesses, and from there built a business that was established around that. I also put people around me that help complement me on that one. In this case, Judy, my wife. So you have how many people here that that you can balance each other out, and from there you cover each other's weaknesses.
No, that's essentially exactly what we did when we started our studio. We had 3 partners, so each of us, based on what our interests and our strengths were, we took a different area of the business over. And so I'm handling the shooting style and post-production, while Chris is handling, online stuff and SEO and marketing, and Justin's handling sales and booking clients. I mean, you have to, if you have a lot of people in the studio that you can do that with, you start with your buddies, cool. You guys can partner up and work off each other's strengths and weaknesses by choosing these different areas. If you don't, you got to do what you said and basically, define what are my different areas that I can work on, and what are the areas I just don't want to touch. and come up with a business plan. I love that you have a business plan, because how many people don't, our backgrounds in photography is actually, our backgrounds in our education is business, not photography. We studied, the 3 partners in our company, we all studied accounting and finance.
Yeah.
And so that is our background. So that's kind of what we understand. So when we're getting into this, that's the first thing you do is you drop the business plan, what are your costs going to be? You do your SWOT analysis, you do everything.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then I think that number of 95% businesses failing, automatically, if you have a SWOT analysis, if you have a business plan and you've thought things through, that number drops dramatically.
Seriously.
95% of business won't fail if you have done some research on it.
Seriously.
So that's a great approach to it. Now, in addition to, because we talk about basically SEO, blog, and all this kind of stuff is a small part of an overall marketing strategy and business strategy. So what are the things are you guys doing?
Well, this is where Judy comes in again. Judy's amazing at Facebook networking. I suck at Facebook. I don't even have a Facebook app on my phone or Instagram, which we talked about earlier. I'm pretty bad.
Do you have an iPhone though?
I have an iPhone, yeah. Okay. An iPhone with about 8,000 pictures
you have an
on it.
iPhone with no apps on it.
No apps. 8,000 pictures and only games.
Only games.
So, yeah, I'm horrible at Facebook. I just don't look at it. So that's something where Judy has satisfied that part of our marketing. So she keeps in really tight with all of our clients with that kind of networking. And she builds up this kind of momentum and excitement with all of our, clients and future clients through all their friends through Facebook. That's one facet of our, of our marketing. Another one is just creating a quality product and having it where it speaks for itself. Of course, that propagates through Facebook. It also goes through albums, through however else it's transmitted, digitally mostly. Yeah. So you have to have multiple ways of attacking it. So increasing your referral rate is really important. You're talking about, they're first-time buyers, and usually they're one-time buyers. You know, they're never gonna. Well,
hopefully
most of them don't get married again.
50% of them don't get married.
I heard one wedding photographer where you would do buy one get one free.
Oh, dude.
So your second wedding was free. Yeah.
So the key is getting into those networks, right? And one thing that Judy does that I love actually is that when she finds something that she likes, she'll go and just post it to Facebook. And a lot of people do this. They post it to Facebook. Tag the clients and stuff like that, and share and be involved in the conversation that goes on. Yeah. So as people comment and as they post, Judy's on there commenting back and posting and being very involved with these people in their lives.
Yes.
Through Facebook. And there are some, I always say, like, watch out. There are some clients that for privacy issues, they don't want their images tagged. They don't want that kind of stuff. But for the most part, people are cool with it, and it's great to have. And here's one tip that I actually got. One of our buddies, he actually mentioned to me, he's like, I got a really good idea. When you post an image the first time, he's like, just post the image. Go back a day or two later and then tag the image. Because what he's doing is basically he's saying, like, if you post the image, you're automatically going to get some traffic going to that image. Okay. Then go back in a couple days and tag people, and that'll automatically kind of revitalize it, right? Okay. Then he's like, go back in another couple days and like the image. Yeah. And then once again it pops up under your feed. So you're basically you're kind of revitalizing that one single image or that one post a few times.
By the way, you're bringing up a really great point. This is something no one ever acknowledges, is the lifespan of marketing, of internet marketing specifically. So when you tweet, I think they did studies where it lasts maybe 15 minutes, an hour.
That, it's like...
it has a very short lifespan. In other words, it's the content that you're creating and how long it lives afterwards. A Facebook post, I think it's 3 to 5 hours. And then blog entries, you're usually talking about a few days, depending on how quickly you're cycling through. And then you're talking about articles like the one that you wrote many years ago, still lasting the test of time. And then, of course, you have some where they're just meant to be there. It's solid content, and it lasts forever, kind of like Wikipedia. So when you're creating content, think about how long it's going to live. And that's a great idea, is to revitalize content.
Yeah. And, if you kind of take into consideration the amount of time behind each one of these sources and the amount of life that they have, you're really probably spending, for example, the RAW versus JPEG article. I think it took 4 hours to do all the pictures and to write everything. Yeah. Now, a single article or a single post on Facebook takes a few minutes to write, or tweets take like 30 seconds, but they also last like 30 seconds.
Exactly.
So if you kind of consider how much time you put into it, it makes sense. It makes sense to invest the time in creating that good content, because it'll stick around much, much longer.
Yes.
Not that you don't need the Facebook stuff, you don't need the tweeting stuff, because that's great to kind of continually keep people updated, but that's not your content. And actually, like, that's not even really SEO, right? I mean, there's no...
No, I mean, Google and Facebook don't really like each other much. Now, what Google will do is look at traffic coming from Facebook over to your website. That's a different story. And by the way, if you guys don't have analytics on your website, get it. It's free. It's a no-brainer.
Right?
Google Analytics, yes, Google Analytics. So it goes without saying, because if you're going to get an SEO, you have to understand how analytics works, and it'll start putting you in the mindset of looking at keywords and how people get to your website, and also seeing, like, you start dealing with conversion rates, and you start seeing, oh, what are people doing when they actually get onto my website, and how can I keep them on there?
You know, there's a great, I'm sure you already know about it, but we use, for SR Lounge, we use a program, or it's actually a website / program called Crazy Egg. Have you heard of Crazy Egg?
No.
It's a heat map. So basically all you guys do is you go and you sign up for Crazy Egg. It's like $20 a month or something like that, but you only need to do it for like a couple months. You sign up for it, you put the code into your website, and basically what it does is all of your traffic and all the clicks on your website are recorded into these heat maps on Crazy Egg. So then you go into Crazy Egg and it loads up basically an image of your page, and then it highlights everything and everywhere where people are clicking, and it creates this heat map over your page, showing you what's popular and what's not, and basically where you're converting and where you're not converting, all that goodies.
By the way, Analytics does that also with page overlays. It's not as sexy as a heat map, but what it'll do is you'll see your web page, and then it'll have little percentages, and it'll say, on this page, 13% of the people clicked on this link, 5% clicked on this link, and you can tell where they went, but it's hard to visualize it as much as it like a heat map.
That does the links.
Okay.
This actually tracks mouse movement.
Oh, wow.
So it's like,
that's gnarly. Yeah.
It's like it'll literally show you like where their mouse is going, like over the entire site and everything like that, which is cool in addition to analytics. But you only need it for like a couple months at a time. You do it. You've basically created a new website. Yeah. You install it, run it for 2 months, get a good analysis going, and then you just discontinue it. And then once you kind of revamp the website and everything like that, you go back and redo it. But what we found was that, and this is, it's kind of a no-brainer, but what would you think is the number one thing that someone would click on a photography website? What would you guess it would be? I mean, you probably know. What would be the number one link, the menu item that people would pick on your website?
Well, pricing tag.
Exactly.
They always go to the pricing tag.
Always the pricing.
Yeah, seriously.
And so like, we found that, and we've helped a lot of friends kind of analyze their websites, and you go, if you don't have that information within a couple clicks, people get frustrated and they're gone.
So see, this is one thing that people underestimate, or they don't realize, is that, as a photographer, we have to be an entrepreneur. We have to wear many hats. You have to be a jack of all trades. So in regards to designing websites, this is a web design rule, is everything on your website should be clickable within 2 clicks. Have you heard that one before?
Yeah. You should be able to find basic information within 2 clicks.
If you can't find it within 2 clicks, it's buried way too deep. So if you look at judytran.com, you'll see I redesigned the blog, and it's not as SEO friendly. But instead of that long column, which I got really sick of, more importantly, all my old articles getting buried, I flattened it out where they're all thumbnails now. And it's great because you can literally scroll down, and within maybe about 30, 40 seconds of scrolling down, you're hitting articles that we first put up.
Yeah. You're getting a lot more content visibility. Yeah.
So look at it like this. Like, here's the main page, and it's like a pyramid, and it branches down. And in programming language, we call it flattening the pyramid. So basically, you're bringing the pyramid up, and you're making it flat now because you can click to it more quickly. And the lower down you go, the more clicks you have to get to the bottom. So bring that content up. A lot of good blog writers will recycle their content or reinvigorate it by linking it to it. And when you link from a new article that's on the top of the pyramid to the bottom, it's basically pulling up this part of the pyramid up to the top, so it's easier to get to. Yeah,
it's a really good tip, actually. We do that a lot on SR Lounge, where whenever we create a new article that has any relation to an old article, we reference it. We say, hey, you might have read on this, and then we link to it, and then we say, we're going to add on to that with this article and basically go forward. You can do the exact same thing with your blog entries on your photography blog. So, last month we shot at this location. This time we took the couple, and when you say this location, you link back to the past post. and you say, this time we're going after this. And it's a great way of revitalizing and pulling up these entries. The more links within each blog post that you guys create on these articles, the easier clients can read and find something else they're interested in and get to that without having to go through crazy menus.
The easiest no-brainer is when you put up a wedding article, you say, oh, we shot their engagement shoot here.
Yeah.
And from there, you link back to the engagement shoot, because it's not just SEO relevant, it's content relevant. You get to see the same couple in regular clothes at a different location, and you kind of get to know the content better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, now regarding content, one really important thing that I know is that, we do know quite a bit about SEO too, so
yeah.
we're not like this guy, but we know a little bit. All right, so we're actually working on an SEO thing for you guys, but we'll get to that later. So anyway, regarding content itself, I know that you're supposed to design content for the reader, and that's one thing that Google will heavily ding you on, websites will heavily ding you on if you are overly keywording your content, or you're writing it basically for a search engine as opposed to actually writing for a reader. So you want to write good content is always intended for the viewer. So like you said, I love that whole concept where, we just shot Judy and Gavin's wedding.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, we did Judy and Gavin's engagement photos back at this place and linked to it. Those are easy ways. When you have the coordinators, if it's the same coordinator that you work with at a different venue, say, oh, we had the wonderful pleasure of working with this coordinator who we also worked with back at this wedding. And that does so many different things. It allows brides to be able to see, okay, well, this coordinator did this wedding. It makes the content more relevant. It also gives them additional links. It also makes your coordinators really happy because you're helping promote them. So it kind of goes back to, there's a lot of tips here, but as far as content goes, linking to your own content, make your coordinators happy, make your vendors happy, all the people that you guys work with, make them happy by linking to them, bringing them up, just like you would in regular day-to-day conversation. You would do the same thing on your website.
Well, by the way, you should look at SEO as there's white hat and black hat, and I'm sure everyone's covered that, and I'm sure there's gray hat somewhere in the middle. But going back, you really should just, if you're going to start really learning about SEO, it should be about healthy SEO. That's one thing we heavily advocated. I saw one of our clients back at the SEO firm where they did a link-wide, or like a site-wide link, and all of a sudden the next day, boom, Google nails them.
Yeah.
And they're not in the search engine rankings at all. Yeah. This is an online store. Imagine going from blah, blah, blah income to zil, almost no traffic. And they freaked calling us, and we're like, why did you put that link there?
Yeah.
But what they did was marked as spam. So you really want to stay with healthy methods, because a lot of people who call you up and say, oh, we'll get you up in the search engine rankings, honestly, they're going to use sneakier techniques.
Black hat techniques.
Yeah. Just be honest. I know it sounds stupid, but be honest. When we were talking about creating content about the coordinators, you're creating honest content. When you click on the link, it's like, no, this goes to their engagement shoot that was shot at Laguna Beach, or whatnot. And they're actually finding that content. If you say, oh, well, this is engagement photography Laguna Beach, and they click on it and it goes to a landing page, or it goes to something where they're not finding the content they want, they'll click back. Google will see that in analytics, and it'll ding you. It'll say, like, oh, they didn't find their content. I'm not going to rank it for that keyword because they weren't finding it.
The Google algorithm is crazy efficient in that. And black hat techniques, the thing is that a lot of people do it because in some cases, it can give them like instant results. But they are so dangerous because you'll get blacklisted from Google, and basically have to repetition to get your site back into the search engine, and you're not guaranteed. So you make one of these mistakes, you do one of these things, and they're really common sense type mistakes. Like, for example, don't over keyword your website by basically it's called keyword stuffing. People will basically, at the very bottom of their website, they're going to create a whole list of keywords where you can't see it, and they're going to color it so that it blends in with the background of the website. So basically, you don't see this text, but it's there and it's invisible, and Google identifies it. As soon as they see it, your site no longer appears in Google, and you have to petition, and there's no guarantee. So it's very, very, don't be evil. I like that. Don't be evil.
Yeah.
But it's risky, guys. SEO is a long time. It's a very time-consuming process, and to kind of throw all your work away for the chance of this one little short bit of benefit, it's just not worth it.
Look at it this way. I've been doing this for a while, SEO for a while, and so I can be a little more cockier about it. But I've had people rip off my website word for word, like they're ripping off the code directly, thinking that they're going to get my rankings. I've had people rip off my images too. I'm like, dude, that's a copyrighted image. That's messed up, and artistically, that's messed up. But I've seen all this stuff happen, and I've seen someone pop up in the ranking above me. I'm like, dude, where'd this guy come from? And I look and I start analyzing his website. I'm pulling up I'm looking at his code. And then I see that he hired someone to do black hat stuff. And it's really tricky. I'm like, wow, that's sneaky. Mm-hmm. And I get a little upset. And then 15 minutes later, I go, have a hot chocolate or something. And and I look 2 weeks later and the guy's gone.
Why a hot chocolate?
Well, hot chocolate's awesome. I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, that's something where...
Yeah, they don't last. They don't last and you'll get caught very quickly, and it's over at that point. So,
yeah.
Bottom line, don't do it. Stick to the good stuff.
Yeah.
So aside from that, okay, outside of SEO, what are you guys doing as far as like traditional marketing? I mean, you talk about referrals and Facebooking, but what about coordinators? You guys work with a lot of coordinators? Another thing that Gavin's not doing.
Okay. This is just one of those experiences where when you enter into wedding photography, there are multiple tiers of photography and, pros and cons of each one. Like down at the bottom, we have what we call, and I hate it because it's kind of a mean term, but budget brides. Mm-hmm. And they can be really sweet, but at the same time, I found them to be very demanding.
Yeah.
They ask the world for almost nothing, and they will almost always come after you for like, can I get more post-production? Can I get more this? And then you enter in this tier where you get all these professionals, and they're really nice and friendly, and they're like you. They're just normal people. And then past that, you start getting, brides that it goes back to being more demanding because they're spending money on it. They want it. Some people just throw money around, but some of them really are high maintenance. And the coordinators match that. Mm-hmm. So every time we've dealt with coordinators, it's been hit or miss. We've had some that are amazing. We've had some that will drive us up the wall because to them, we're another worker. Mm-hmm. And it takes away that being an artist, identity that we have. And we actually are putting a cap right now. Like right now, I think I'm at, Judy's at 3,000, I'm at 3,500, and both of us are at 5,000 and 5,500 for video, which is expensive to all y'all out there, this is the Los Angeles market. It's insane here.
It's actually very affordable considering the market that we're in. 5,500 for video plus both you two is very, very affordable.
It's a lot of work, but the thing is, we love the demographic we're in.
Yeah.
Jim Kennedy stopped around the same price point because he knew, well, that's where, in the bell curve, that's where the peak is.
Yeah.
But for us, it's about the experience. And that actually brings up another good point. I don't know if anyone else really does this, but we turn down brides.
Yeah, no. When you get to a certain point, it makes sense at times to turn people down because it's not going to work. Like, if it's not jiving in that meeting, if you feel like things aren't going out, and this is really like, you got to be able to book out before you start turning people down. Like, if you're hungry, you're not going to be turning anybody down.
Exactly. So. You need to eat, But when you reach that point where your business is doing well, your marketing on multiple levels is kicking in, and you have this well-oiled machine, you're going to start realizing that like 90% of your problems come from 5% of your clients. Mm-hmm. Or in programming, we called it the 80-20 rule,
There's so many 80. I've heard an 80-20 rule for like everything.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But it's the truth with brides, and I hate giving the most oil to the squeakiest wheel.
Yeah.
So we actually interview them. And I have it on my website where it says they're subject to screening.
Subject to
and
screening.
It always catches them off guard. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. We turn down about maybe 2 or 3 brides a year. And that's tough because, we're taking a almost $15,000 pay cut every year. And it's worth it in the end. So,
but you're also probably filling in those spaces with other brides.
Yeah.
More often than not, I'm sure.
We've had some where we take the hit. No other lead comes in for that day. And it's just a hit. But really, we hoard out one time and we accepted a Monday wedding.
Yeah.
And I told Judy, I said, if we take this wedding, this is totally for the money. It's not for, what we normally do. And I was right.
Yeah.
She went bridezilla on us. She cried. It was just like, wow. And luckily she didn't take it out on us as much, but we called it, and it was right on the border. But going back, it's how you want to run your business. If you can, for all of you guys who have day jobs, if you could take all the people that suck to work with And if you could take a $10,000 a year pay cut not to work with them, or I should say percentage-wise, like 10 or 20% pay cut, would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone I've talked to, they say yes.
Yeah.
They would totally do it because, well, yeah.
Well, there's something else from that too, is that if you are screening and you're, there's two things actually. I want to say one thing. I've told a lot of my couples that, hey, you know, I'm really happy to be working with you because you guys are a great couple. And they're like, well, do you mean that they'll actually ask, like, do you actually turn people away? And I say, yes, we actually do turn people away when it's not going to be a good fit. And number one, they feel kind of, there's kind of a level of exclusivity in that we chose them as well, in addition to them choosing us. They feel better about it because they realize that we feel like it kind of jives and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so they realize that, you know, when you're kind of building up that brand name, that there's some sort of exclusivity in it. In addition, when it comes to the flip side, let's say you go out and you shoot the wedding, you make the money, but if you're not jiving with them, and jiving is like a 1960s word, but I like that word.
Don't say synergy.
There's not a synergy.
Yeah, things have to flow. You have to have a relationship with your client, and if there's no relationship, then it just sucks working.
Well, and it shows in the product is what I want to say.
Yes.
It shows up in the product. Yes. You can tell. It's so easy to tell, like when you look at a full wedding side by side, which client cared about their photography and enjoyed their photographer versus which client just wanted to get every single shot on their list type thing. And so, you know, we need to kind of watch out for that kind of stuff. And we deal with, I know exactly what you're saying, because that $3,000 to kind of $6,000 range is the sweet spot for the kind of, I don't want to say easy crowd, but the very relaxed, down to earth kind of stuff. We're getting into the higher range where we'll be booking a lot of weddings that they're, you know, $10,000 and up. But the problem is that you need to accept that in these kind of weddings, you are another, just someone that's there to do a job. When they're paying this much, you're someone that's there to do a job. More often than not, you're not like an intimate friend with them type thing, where you get that with a different type of clientele. And that's kind of a lot of times what I miss. And so, you know, we get kind of a mixture of this, and you kind of have to be cool with dealing with that. And a lot of people will, you know, to be honest, it is more fun to deal with the ones that you go to the wedding and you feel like you're a part of it. And you feel like at the end of the day, you made a new friend. And
because they're offering you drinks at the bar.
Which don't take.
Coordinators do not like that.
Do not drink at the wedding.
Yes.
But no, like being able to come back, and we have so many friends that we've met, lifelong friends that we've met from shooting their wedding.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful thing. And I love that about, you know, and it very much is classified based on, unfortunately, it's like that kind of $2,000 and below is that demand line where everybody's just very, very demanding. And
and by the way, there's a business plan for each tier. Let's say the lower levels, you could call that the Walmart route. But you can have that Walmart route. You just have to have a business plan and the right attitude and character for it. I couldn't personally do that because it would eat away at me, because I like spending time, quality time with each one of our clients. And that's something where we develop those kind of friendships that last a long time. So, and by the way, when we say like, oh, we turn down clients, or one thing I've seen a lot in photographers is this this cockiness that comes out. And it's part of being a good photographer is being a little more alpha. You have to be, you have to have some authority. When I say, okay, now be a lemur, and they do it, like, it's awesome. But at the same time, watch the cockiness. I was a lot cockier when I first started this, and now I've toned it down a little bit. And it's not, you can still take care of your clients without being cocky. It's about setting your business up to be successful and setting it up where you love doing your job and you can do it every day and you wake up like excited about doing a shoot.
Yeah, I love that. And there is, like you said, the whole Walmart, that's what we call in business, that's the competing on cost, right? Competing on value. In that $3,000 to $5,000 range, you're competing on kind of a mixture of cost and differentiation. And then beyond that, it's basically exclusivity, and it's all differentiation beyond that. So pick what works for you, because every single one of those areas is completely different. It has different challenges, and there's a lot of people, I know plenty of people that make crazy amounts of money competing on the cost side. They just do a lot of work. Not a lot of work as in they shoot like what you're doing, like they'll do a whole session of seniors, and they'll make crazy money from it, but you have to be set up for that. You have to have a plan for it. You have to have the right personality and have the right workflow. Otherwise, it's definitely not worth it.
Yeah.
But with each one of these, there's no right or wrong way. Whether you shoot middle to high end, low end, there's no right or wrong way. There's just a right or wrong way for you. Which one is going to work best for you? So I love that, dude. I appreciate it. And
no. I mean, I've made so many mistakes in the past. I learned from the School of Hard Knocks, and it's just something where, here I've got a 4-year college degree, an engineering degree, for crying out loud. And I had to learn photography the hard way. I didn't intern under anyone. I didn't study under anyone. I had some people that I shot with, but one of them was just starting wedding photography himself, and he was a sports photographer. It was Ben Chen, actually. So he used to shoot for the Angels and the Dodgers and stuff, and he was just breaking into wedding photography, and I would second shoot with him. Another one I learned with was Steve Hoffman, and back in the day I used to carry 3 cameras on me. Oh my gosh. And now I've narrowed down to 1, but I learned the hard way, and I figured out what worked for me. But more importantly is, throughout that whole ordeal, I kept my prices low.
Yeah.
I didn't let that get the better of me. So from there, they were still getting a good deal. Even though I made mistakes here and there, they still got more than what they paid for. And it made me feel better at night. And then from there, I just slowly raised my prices as my worth increased. And your worth increased from the product that you create, the confidence you have when selling it, and, and the marketing that you have set up to bring in new business.
Yeah. Well, and a key component there that you mentioned is that if you're always a value for what you're charging, it doesn't matter if you're charging $10,000, $5,000, or $3,000. If you're always delivering a product that's worth more than what you're charging, you will never have an unhappy client.
And when a client complains, you can always say, dude, look, I hooked you up. You're in no position to complain.
In a polite way.
Because we'll overdo it. Where for one of Judy's weddings, I'll come in as a second shooter. And it's you're getting both of us, you're getting me for free, or for a real big discount. So it puts you in that position where you don't have to worry about them coming back at you saying, oh, why didn't you hook me up? Or, I overpaid. It's no, we really took care of you.
For sure.
And realize this is running a business. I grew up in a small business. My mom had a Chinese restaurant, and we took care of every single one of those customers because those are the people that sent me to college. They paid for our house. You have to look at it that way. These people, it's a relationship where you're delivering a product, they're paying you, and you both help each other coexist.
Well, I heard a beautiful line from one of our clients who actually runs a big fashion company, Hiroyoshi III, big fashion line, incredible stuff. But he said to me, he's like, I really felt like you guys loved us. And he's like, there's a key component in our business model, which is love your clients. It's an actual phrase that they have, and I'm like, I want to put that on my wall. Love your clients.
Nice.
Because that's kind of the end all. You love your clients. You'll help them to get great photos. You'll make them look good. You'll help them capture memories. You'll enjoy it. And everybody's happy.
Well, when I say this, I hope not my clients are going to hear this and say, hey, why don't you do this with all of us? But
why don't you love us?
We were doing an engagement shoot yesterday, and we literally, I don't know what happened. We spent 7 hours with them. And of course, normally our engagement shoots are 2 to 3 hours, but we wanted to play with light painting. So we were playing with that because we had sparklers out and everything. We were doing pictures where they were baking. So she was teaching me how to do red velvet cupcakes and stuff.
Awesome,
and we're decorating
dude.
them. Judy's playing with the frosting and stuff for the first time. And we went and got dinner with them. So part of that 7 hours was all you can eat Korean barbecue in the middle of the shoot, which shooting with Fukuma is one hell of a feat. Yeah. But that's the thing is it goes back to loving our clients, and we were just hanging out with them, and we had a great time. I learned so much from my clients. They're my friends, they're just, it's awesome.
Well, cool guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a long interview, and hopefully you guys have made it to the very end of this because there's a lot of golden tidbits in there. But appreciate you coming out, dude. I really appreciate you coming out and doing this interview with us.
And I hope I can start contributing back to the community. I've spent kind of 6 years doing my own thing, and I really want to start teaching and
Gavin's
planting seeds.
Check out Gavin's work because I don't think I've seen any photographer that is as well versed in so many different areas of photography. From your commercial work to your food work to your weddings to your portraiture, everyone is completely professional and has a lot of artistry, and it's wonderful work. And you don't see that among most photographers, like across the board. So we'll put his links up in the article. You guys can check out below in the description, everything, and check out his work. And we apprate having you, dude.
Definitely, man. It was my pleasure being here on this infamous couch right here.
Couch.
This is the lounge couch.
Bye-bye. See you guys.